It is week 5 of Playful Serifs. We are on letter E. This one is a little more challenging, not necessarily because it's harder to draw, just because it's a little more time consuming. I went crazy with the serifs on this one. So we are back to a decorative style. This one is a 2-part, so it's a bifurcated. Last time we did a 3-part, which is a trifurcated. You don't necessarily need to know that, but we have 3 different serifs we've incorporated here on different parts of the letter E. So to break this one down, what's helpful, I'm gonna add a new layer here and draw 2 shapes. So there is a circle here. Make a perfect circle there by tapping my finger. And then there is a circle here. Not quite as perfect, a little more oblong there. So if I scoot that over, you can see that can be the basis for our letter. So to start that from scratch, I'm gonna make myself another new layer. And we don't really need the graph paper this time, so I'm gonna click my wrench tool in Canvas and turn that off so it's not distracting to me, because I'm gonna rely on my visual eyeballing it to do this letter. So I'll draw my small circle, and I want that to be a perfect circle. So I'm gonna tap my finger down, see how that changes it, and then release. I'm gonna shift that into place. Then I'm actually gonna do another layer just so I can adjust it. And I'm gonna overlap it here. I want it to be bigger and slightly more oblong. Right about there is good, but then because it's on its own layer, I can adjust the angle and kind of shift it into place if I want to. So let's go ahead and pinch those layers together and merge them down, and then tap your N and bring your opacity down, and that's gonna be kind of our guide. So if you wanna rename your layer, you can tap it and click rename, rename it guide, just to make it easier. I'm gonna go add a new layer above that and make my sketch. So this one, I do a sketch layer, so I'm gonna rename that. I'm gonna grab my blue color. And so what I would do with this is, I know that I'm gonna start about here, and arc to about here, and I'm using that as my guideline. And then we can see this curves around here. So, and this one again is got some contrast, but not a ton. So it's a little thicker there. Oh. So I'll bring that in. And then just like with before, I drew like a circle for the top part of my serif, tap my finger down to create that perfect circle, and then bring that kind of arc shape in there to create the front part of that. So we've got kind of the top half of our E now, and on the bottom half, we're gonna come around a lot further. So I'm gonna let my pencil do the work and create an arc, just like with an arc. With a line, we can create an arc. So I'll bring that around to about there, and then I'll come in from this side and create another arc. And again, we're just sketching on this layer, and then we can come and redraw it again to kind of give it a final look. So I will come all the way around like that. And then I know I need this big arc there. Again, I'll let my pencil do the work and make my arc. And then here, it comes up and over, kind of like that. Like that. Close enough. And then in the center, we come around to the middle. And again, we have that kind of double arc shape. So that's the basis. It might help us to fill it in just to kind of see what's going on, so we can drag and drop our color. And again, we can see where we need to make some adjustments a lot better that way. So I might make some adjustments on my sketch layer here. Ooh. I can see that this needs to be a bit thicker to match the rest of my letter. I'm not gonna worry too much about stray lines like that since we're gonna draw it one more time. And maybe I want this to be more pointy like the rest, and I can erase that out. Maybe I want this to come up a little higher, and maybe I want this to come around just a little bit more. So I can kind of just draw that in. So we're just sketching, we're not being too precise, but we do kind of want to get a good sketch layer in to make it easier on ourselves to create the final letter. So with a lot of the more complicated letters to draw or more intricate, I will do multiple rounds of sketching. All right, so that is not too bad. I think this letter is even thicker. Sometimes what I'll play with then is topping this and using the free form to kind of distort my letter, make it a little different if you want to. Sometimes that really changes it too much and you just have to manually thicken it. Depending on the circumstance, that can also work as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and take our sketch layer smaller. We don't need our guide anymore, so we can delete that out so it's not distracting us. I'm gonna make that even lighter, maybe 30%. Again, that's just tapping the N, and you can change your opacity. And now I'm gonna create another layer, and this will be our final sketch or final letter. I'm gonna start at the top this time. I'll draw my circle, tap my finger, create my arc. Maybe I want it to be even a little bigger this time. And again, we're using that original letter as our guide. It does not have to match perfectly. Come around like that. This time I'm gonna let the arc tool do the work. And then when it gets to these bigger arcs, I usually do it in multiple shots. So I'll do one, and then I'll come around and do another, and just keep going as many times as I have to, because I can always come back in here and smooth out the connections later in the process. And then I want this connection to be a bit smoother here, so I'll draw that in a bit more. And again, an arc there. I want this to curve around a bit more. So I'm gonna go more like that, because this one curves a bit more, and I did like that. So I can bring that in, make it a little curvier, a little more elegant looking on this letter. And bring that around again. And then make my final center serif. And now drag and drop, missed a piece, and then I'll go in and finalize it by doing what we've done in all the past videos, which is a lot of refining. And this step usually takes me the longest, especially, you know, on video, I'm not going as slowly as I otherwise would, working on my letters. Sometimes I'll spend upwards of an hour on one single letter. So don't feel like you have to rush. If you have plenty of time to really work on it and do multiple rounds of drafting, go for it. And then you can add more thickness. I think I'm gonna sit and thicken this out. I actually have to run because I have a dog that just had surgery and I can hear her pawing at the door, and I don't want her doing anything on my floor. So let's go ahead, and you can keep working on that letter if you have time. Otherwise, two finger undo, copy, and let's paste it into our add paste. And then on uniform, we can shrink it down and paste it into place. And that is it for this week. Our piece is coming along. I can't wait for you to see how it looks in the end once we add all the final details. It's a really fun piece. It kind of looks similar to this, but in the alphabet form. So thank you for hanging with me these last few weeks, and I will see you soon for letter F.